And yet, here they still stand, searching for a sign of peace. I will show them. I am Apollyon. I bring war.
Honor. What do you know about honor? You, who has never faced true fear. Learn what honor is, before pretending you are a warrior. Know this, before you step onto that thin red path, where no misstep is allowed. Path that only ends when your legs fail to support you. When your heart stops beating. A path where sadness goes along with pain. And where glory is the color of blood. This narrow path goes only one way. A way covered with enemies and brothers. And it will take you, without any shame, into the hands of death. For the name you were given, and for your descendants.
Fala, meus queridos, começando mais uma transmissão aqui do do nosso For Honor Brasil. Eu, como sempre, sou Adriano Lenhador, o seu star player favorito de For Honor. Começando mais uma transmissão da Warriors Den, já tô setando a tela aqui. Muita calma, porque a Warriors Den acabou de abrir, tá com um som estrondoso, eu vou abaixar. Já vou arrumar a tela de vocês também. Né? Porque aqui é tudo assim, né? O YouTube ele tem esse delay monstruoso de transmissão que deixa a gente meio bugado às vezes. Mas agora tá tudo certo. Então, temos 3 minutos e meio aí até o início da transmissão da Warriors Den. Enquanto isso, obviamente, dessa vez meu microfone não está fechado muito bem, né? Então, antes eu vou passar um recadinho para vocês. Comentar um pouquinho o que eu acho. Antecipadamente eu vou pedir para todo mundo deixar o like aí, por favor, deixem o like no vídeo, galera. Vocês sabem que esse horário da Warriors Den é um horário assim ingrato para quem é trabalhador como eu. Na verdade, eu tenho que correr muito para fazer essa cobertura. Vocês não têm ideia, né? Não tem ideia, mas tô aqui, como sempre aí, honrando, né, o compromisso de trazer conteúdo de For Honor, tá? Então, pô, para quem tá perguntando aí no chat, esse óculos maravilhoso aqui que eu tô usando foi um presente que eu ganhei da Lenscope, que é um serviço de venda de lentes aí para óculos totalmente online. Então, quem achou legal, né, procure aí Lenscope. Você manda só a receita para eles e eles vendem a lente. Se você tiver armação, você manda a armação, eles fazem de acordo com as suas medidas e tal. Um serviço bem interessante. Eles me mandaram isso aqui, que é uma lente para descanso, que ela filtra os raios de luz do monitor. Não tem uma explicação bonitinha, né? Ela filtra a luz azul nociva emitida pelas telas. Então, é para quem passa muito tempo na frente do PC, muito tempo jogando, igual eu, vocês. Então, ela ajuda a diminuir aquela sensação de vista cansada. Eu já estou usando, fazendo nas lives lá na Twitch agora, né? Para quem não sabe, não estou fazendo mais live no YouTube, só na Twitch, certo? YouTube agora só vídeo e conteúdo informativo. Beleza? Passamos disso, vamos lá. O que teremos na nova temporada de For Honor? Muito importante, todo mundo se perguntando. O que eu espero? tá? O que eu espero e o que eu acho que vai ter. Primeiro, o remover os Option Select do jogo. Para quem não sabe o que é, eu fiz um vídeo aqui explicando basicamente o Option Select de Zone. Mas existem vários Option Select. Resumidamente, o que é um Option Select? É quando você cobre duas ou mais opções ofensivas do oponente com um movimento só. Então, é uma forma aí que alguns jogadores escolhem para anular alguns mix-ups. Isso é prejudicial para o jogo. Você tira a força, principalmente de quem usa golpes imbloqueáveis e tal. Então, isso será retirado. Beleza? Será retirado. Eu acho que agora já vão retirar. Pelo menos é o que eu espero. Com relação a rework do Orochi não estava legal, estava bugado, estranho. Do Shinobi estava um lixo, tá? E o do Raider estava ok, mas talvez precise de pequenos ajustes. Então eu acho que vai ter um novo Testing Grounds. É o que eu espero. Porque se eles anunciarem que vai lançar, eu vou ficar meio pé atrás, né? Mas beleza. Vamos lá, vai começar a live, eu vou ficar quietinho e vou comentar só o que precisa, beleza? Bora assistir todo mundo aí. Aquele clipezinho da Season 1, né? Como vocês podem ver aí, tempestade, né? É o tema da nova season. Tava tudo deserto, agora veio chuva, então é isso. Você ganha um emote novo de brindar se você indicar o jogo para um amigo. Não deu tempo de ver. Tá sem áudio ou tá muito baixo? Tá sem som ou tá muito baixo? Eu aumentei aqui, vê se melhorou.
Watching and wants to have drops on the stream, just make sure that your Twitch account and your Ubisoft account are linked so you can receive your rewards. And as you can see here, per 30 minutes, you can receive one scavenger crate. Make sure you go ahead and redeem that.
É que o som deles aqui estoura na minha orelha.
And also, for every 10 minutes of additional accumulated time, you have the chance to win 100,000 steel. Matt, how much steel do you have?
Like 1 million, because I just give it to myself when we record videos, so we can get the stuff we need. Should I say that?
Tá, não falaram nada de interessante,
it's funny
não.
you say that because as soon as I asked you that, I was just like, I have a crap ton too because
we just
well, you can be like us and be breaded up like a chicken tender. Haven't said that in a while. And go ahead and win that steal. So keep an eye out for your notifications.
Agora, né, programa que você indica amigos pro jogo e você ganha recompensa. Mas
and how much steel we have. We will be joined now by Clarissa to talk about Dominion series.
Se achar amigo pra jogar Corona.
We're back, Warriors, with Clarissa to talk about the Dominion series Stage 2 Major that happened just on August 28th there. So, Clarissa, what can you tell us about what happened?
Que tá rolando.
Yeah, it was this previous weekend. We have our results. So here's the EU winners. Congratulations to Nemesis Esports for getting first. And for the NA Major, we also have Team Killing Service, taking the win as well. So congratulations to our winners. It was a really fun major this time around. Lots of differences compared to stage one. Obviously with Nemesis winning because they did get third last time, but this time they really showed their dominance, especially in the face of adversity, since they did have a few issues, including like an emergency sub, but so did another team. Even like for the grand finals, Monkey Business was up 1, but then there was a disconnect, and both teams agreed to restart the first match. So big
legal, teve
thank you and
desconect no
shout
meio
out
do
to Monkey
Dominion
Business
Series, hein?
for
Que
their
bonito For
sportsmanship,
Honor. Faz
because
com a
that's
gente não, pô.
grand finals. Whoa, woof. So that's that. So for the NA side, we had the Team Killing Service also displaying their big dominance this time around. What's really cool was that they beat Guidance Gaming in their winners final, but in stage 1, Guidance Gaming defeated them. So those two teams, they do have unfinished business. It's going to be really
Essa parte
interesting to see what happens in stage 3.
do competitivo eu nem
For both
cubro
sides,
muito,
for EU
porque
and
como
NA,
não
because
entra
really
América
anything
do
can
Sul,
happen,
não entra time daqui
even with the
nem
meta,
nada,
because
quem
stage
quer
1
vai
had more
consumir
bunker
em inglês
prevalence
lá
this
e
time around.
paciência,
It's
né?
Shugoki. Like, we had almost a Shugoki in every single team. We even have a Berserker on one of the teams, so that's pretty cool.
Mas o que eu posso falar pra vocês
Lots
é
of
que
John Who's
todo
as well.
time
Oh,
tinha
yes, yes.
Warlord,
Yeah.
Shogoki,
But
Jung
we
e
also want to
Zanru.
give a special
Os que
MVP
não
award
tinham,
to Bucko
pô, tava em
on the NA
desvantagem. A
side, the
maioria,
Warlord that you see
grande
here,
maioria,
because
Glad
he
perdeu
displayed
espaço,
lots
Centurião
of
perdeu
clutch,
espaço.
clutch moves, I guess. Not Clutchmeister moves, but clutch moves. Like he won a few 1v3s, which helped secure the victory for them in the grand finals. So congratulations.
Awesome performance.
Yes, I agree. But that's not all. We have stage 3 coming up. It's starting on October 9th, but registrations are open now at battlefy.com/Dominion Series. And for those who are in chat saying that they can defeat all these players in the major, well, now's your time to shine, to join these qualifiers. I know you won't, but you should anyway.
Wow.
I see all these people talking, but I really don't see their names ever in the qualifiers. So please prove me wrong. I will be very happy.
Go earn that prize money if it's so easy. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like you can also join the Discord dojo, where even all these competitive players that you see on the stream, they are coaches. They will help
Então,
you get
eles estão
tips, get
divulgando
good,
o Discord
dodge,
Dojo,
all
que é
things
onde
that you
eles
want.
misturam jogadores competitivos
Absolutely.
com os casuais. Ou seja, eles meio que abrem a oportunidade. Aqui no Brasil nós também temos isso daí, que é o For Honor League, e eu divulgo constantemente nas minhas lives, certo? Então quem quiser interesse aí, saber o Discord do For Honor League para entrar lá, conversar com a galera, deixa um comentário no vídeo depois que eu respondo,
We will,
beleza?
and a quick reminder for the next major. When you were watching the last major, you could watch on the For Honor stream and the Ubisoft stream and earn those rewards a little bit faster. And we heard you
Você vê minha
guys
cam, parece que eu tô junto com eles
hey,
no
that
rolê
doesn't-
ali, né?
some
Tá um
people didn't know they
quadradinho.
could do that, and some people did, so it created an imbalance there. So we've heard you. It's going to be you watch one stream, you earn the rewards at the proper rate. It's going to be normal next time. So thank you everyone who told us that in the chat. We appreciate it. So thank you so much, Clarissa, for coming on and telling us about Dominion Series, For Honor, and Life. We will be right back with the Tempest story trailer.
Beleza, agora
See
vem o
Warriors.
trailer da nova temporada, vamos ver. Deixa eu tirar aqui minha cara.
We have endured. We have suffered. Yet our resolve has not faltered. Now the gods have spoken, tearing the skies. They want to remind us of our rage to live, of our will to conquer, of our dauntless hearts pounding louder. We are but tears of blood, flowing in a raging sea. But let us not pray the gods for mercy. Let them watch us. Let them hear us. Let them bear witness to us as we harness the storm and embrace their fury.
It was a dark and stormy trailer.
Bonita animação,
that
né?
was amazing. We are back with three.
Agora a gente vai para aquela famosa historinha da inspiração
Nico, Elise, and Andrew, welcome
dos
to the Warriors Den.
livros.
Thanks for joining us
Que eu
today.
olhei para o céu um dia, resolvi a paleta de cores azul agora.
We have a lot to get through. There's a lot of topics to talk about.
Vamos ver a história aí.
With Tempest. So, Nico, what can you tell us about the season in general?
Well, Heathmoor is still very much exposed to Mother Nature's wrath this season, and after the drought, the wildfires, in Season 3, Heathmoor will see heavy rains and flooding alter its environment. So Tempest is central to this season. That's going to be our main theme that will show in our platform utilization, that will show in our battle pass rewards. We will also launch this season with a new event called Stormtide, and during that event, starting at September 9th,
vai ter aqueles eventos que depois de 5 horas não tem mais player para jogar.
Rewards and weapons. And while I'm talking about events, I want to talk a little bit about what's coming in the future. We all know Season 3 is Halloween season, and while I don't want to spoil the surprise, we have something super special this year for Halloween. It's going to feel very different from what we've done in the past few years. So stay tuned for more info on this in the upcoming months. Back to season launch now. We have a lot of gameplay updates coming.
de outubro, né? Vai ser.
We have characters from the last testing round that are coming, Shugoki, Orochi, and Raider. We have fixes to options.
Shugoki, olha aí, Shugoki no testing grounds,
fixes that will make the overall combat much more reliable. We have a new testing round coming early this season. Stay tuned for the date. This one is going to go live much earlier than usual, and it will be about Dominion, rebalancing some renowned gains, trying to improve some of the rules around the game mode, and also Shinobi is going to be coming back as given the feedback we got from the past testing round.
Eu acho que o Shinobi ficou de fora mesmo. E vai voltar depois. Como eu disse, o do Shinobi tava uma merda mesmo.
And I think that's it. Or no, I think I forgot something very important.
One more thing.
I think I forgot something very important. You've been asking for unique executions in the past, and I'm happy to announce that Tempest season will have 29 new executions, this time only one for each character. So we're super excited about this, and we can't wait to show you a little bit more of those executions later on in the show. That's it from me. Enjoy the rest of the stream.
Thank you, Nico. That's awesome news.
Únicas,
yes, we will be, in just a bit, we'll see all those unique executions. But for the narrative of Tempest, Elise, what can you tell us about the sort of general background of the season?
So this year, this is the year of the covenants, right? We have Horcrux and Chimera fighting each other, making new alliances, and then Nature's wrath manifested itself during season 2 throughout a drought, a massive drought that struck every place in Heathmoor, and various warriors, they tried to react to that, to pray the gods for the rain to come back. The Kyoshin even arrived and tried to restore nature's balance through their actions, and now we have an answer from the gods, and it's coming from the Vikings. So basically, you had the warriors in the shadows trying to make sacrifices, but very gruesome sacrifices at times, and other times they were more worshipping nature, trying to really appease the gods. And now we have that massive tempest striking Heathmoor. So there's those cool arters that we see here and there, and more with Andrew right after. But we've also been very much inspired by Norse mythology for this season. So I was mentioning gods, and we have two of them showing here and there in customization, especially in those really, really cool mood effects. We have two versions. So one is Ran, and the other one is Aegir. It's a couple of deities in Norse mythology, and they are the embodiment of the seas and the tides and the waters. There are so many cool stories about them. No very specific visual representation of them though. So that's why we took a lot of liberties, inspired by the other sea creatures and things like that, to depict them in our game. And yeah, one cool story is, for example, is they are almost like the guardians of the underwater Valhalla for people who have drowned at sea, for example. So that's one of the cool myths around those two gods. So this season, many things will be pouring and like drenching players with like cool executions as we just saw right before. And yeah, I can't wait to see how the players will react to all of that.
Yeah, so the Viking prayers worked, which is good for them. So regardless of who wins the faction war, that's a W for the Vikings in my book. Yes. So that's all really cool background. Andrew, with the in-game
Mano, eu achei que era impressão
itself
minha, mas a
and
mulher
the
parece estar
map
falando num
changing,
pinico,
what can you
dentro de
tell
um
us?
pinico, velho. Eu não consegui entender
Well,
muito bem o que essa mulher
as you
falou, não,
noticed
mano.
by now,
Achei que só
we're
meu áudio
focusing on the
tava ruim,
Viking
mas
in this
parece que
season.
mais
The
pessoa
Viking had
reparou
a
isso, né?
belief in deity of the sea, which were introduced by Elise. Their legend made people to believe they had to make offerings. But for one side, they meant respecting the nature, but for some people, they believed that offering required
Entendi que ela
blood.
falou de dois
And
deuses
drought made
que
people
vão
to
estar
be a
representados
bit more
nos
desperate and
trajes e
difficult
tal.
to make the good decisions. And this is going to
Ó,
be
que legal o
showcasing in
mapa,
the one of
tipo,
the map. And we worked on the 3
olha que
maps
da hora,
this
velho.
time, which is the shard, as
Essa
you can
parte o
see it
pessoal
right
faz
now,
muito bem em For
and the
Honor, né, nos
gauntlet and the
cenários.
harbor. And each map has a different status
Vai
of
sair
flooding.
aquele clima
On
árido
this one, the Vista
aquelas
is something that we
partículas de
kind of
fogo,
focused
lembra
on
que
it
ficava
too.
tipo de
And gauntlet is
brasa
where we see
cinza,
it quite
né?
drastic
Agora vai
changes
ficar
to
um clima
support the
úmido,
narrative scenes. The player
com
will
bastante
find the interesting
fumaça e tal.
changes of the mood from each capture points, and the starting point, it may not be
Olha que
shown
da hora,
every
velho.
the point, so it will be pretty interesting for you guys to find out. And of course, all the vistas are going to be changed around it. Mainly the movie, the Midsommar was a reference in this map, and it's the place to introduce the reminder of the horrible decisions that were made for people's belief.
Olha esses
And
raios,
the
mano,
map
que da
team and the
hora.
VFX team worked extremely hard for players to have a unique experience throughout this season. But not only the maps, but also menu, loading screen, and the world map as well. I might not say enough, but
No menu,
many thanks
na
to the team
tela
for
de
consistent effort and
carregamento, né?
non-stop
Vai mudar tudo.
challenges. And I must say, this is the
a
only
temática,
start.
né?
We cannot wait to show more throughout this season.
Yeah, thank you to the team. It looks super dramatic to see all those maps with all the changes. So it looks awesome this season. Nico and Elise, thank you very much for dropping by. We are going to come back with Andrew for the Battle Pass. But in the meantime, in between time, we have a lot of unique executions for Tempest to show you. So Warriors, we'll be right back.
Nossa, eu vou fechar minha cara aqui que vai ter as execuções agora, galera. Quem quiser clipar, clipa pra depois mandar pros amigos aí, demorou? Foda, hein? E aí, qual que vocês mais gostaram? Já comenta aí. Comenta aí no chat. Ó, os trajes. Ah, esses trajes aí, meu, pra mim é feio pra caramba. Esse traje brilhoso, né? Muito brilho. Muita cor. Esses são os trajes de batalha. Feitinho de chuva, né? Ornamento é um caranguejo, um siri. Quem nunca quis ter um caranguejo no braço? Agora é a hora. As armas. Agora eles estão mostrando diferente as armas, né? Não tá mostrando mais tudo enfileiradinho igual era.
Warriors, if you look up here, you're going to see some unique executions and some event weapons raining all during the season of Tempest. But Andrew, we'd like to go to you to talk about what's on the radar now with the Battle Pass. So what can you tell us?
Yeah, Battle Pass contains a lot of rain and the water. I mean, water in For Honor has it contains a lot of symbolic meanings. The water from the intro cinematic, the water in drought seasons, the water in tempest season, they all have a different meanings behind. But one thing in common is that somehow it reveals the people's true intentions. The key art, nothing much to say, just amazing. The Battle Pass weapons,
as you
can see from here, it's inspired by the Gaudium Church and Turkish daggers. This time we wanted to make them look more like King's collections and or the treasure,
so expensive and elaborated patterns, and gems were used to design them. But treasures sometimes become just rusted metal when it sunk under the sea. Still, there are definitely amazing collections that player will
São as inspirações, né, que ele usa.
In contrast,
o
for the event weapons, the waterway and the patterns that were created by the wave were used to retexture the weapons. And it's a very calm, deep sea blue will make these weapons to contain Tempest in your weapon library. Of course, the mood effect, as you can see, the weapons, but also the mood effect that will kind of show up very soon. The Tempest of Aegir and the Ren effect with the battle outfit and ornament, as you saw before, will complete the seasonal fashions.
And I think most importantly, perhaps, in my opinion, Cloak and Cloak signature with Centurion.
Caralho, aí é foda, velho. Isso é muito bom. É idiota, mas é muito bom isso daí, cara.
Your fashion as well.
Sente. Eu sente tipo uma criança gordinha assim com a boia, cara. Imagina o Shugok usando isso.
That's awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking us through that. Any notes to kind of conclude on with the battle pass?
I mean, I don't know about everyone in the world, but right now in Montreal, it's very hot outside. I hope you guys enjoy the Tempest that we brought to you guys, and hope you also enjoyed the 29 executions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. We will be right back. First, we're going to show you the Battle Pass weapons, and then we will come back with the testing grounds.
Vou fechar de novo minha cara, mas eu vou opinar.
Thank you very much, Warriors, and thank you, Andrew,
for stopping by. Eu não opinei nas execuções para ficar limpo, mas eu vou opinar agora. Whatever. Já é tradição do canal eu opinar nessas coisas. Cara, bonita a espada, né? Sempre começando pela do Guardião. A lâmina é bonita. A da PK também achei legal, mas não gostei da lâmina. O Glade do Centurião, ok. Esse parece do Poseidon, né? O tridente do Glade. Cara, olha que escudo bonito do BP, mano. Tipo um Carlos Magno, tá ligado? A da Astria, né? A Astria tá igual do Ordem, só que torta. Essa alabarda eu achei feia. O Glaive e a alabarda eu achei feio. Nossa, aí meteram um pavão no Conk. Aí não, né, mano? Pavão? Aí não. O cara mete o Carlos Magno do BP e do Conk, um pavão. A do Kensei eu achei feia. A do Orochi também não achei legal, não. Aí já tá com muita cor pro meu gosto. O machado de Hitokiri parece uma borboleta. A do Kyoshi feia também. Da Nobushi também achei feia. Muita cor, né? Essas são as skins do passe de batalha. Só pra quem comprar essas. Se tiver muito alto aí o som vocês falam, tá? Do Raider também. Bem colorido. Essa do Celta tá bonita. Essa do Celta tá bonita, cara. Deixa muito feia. Esse martelo nem parece uma marreta, é isso? A da Volk eu achei legal. A da Volk é mais interessante. Olha o escudo do Warlord, velho. Tem tipo um David Jones, tá ligado? Minha voz tá sumindo? Tá muito alto. Do Tianji, olha, feio pra caramba, parece uma cortina da casa da minha avó. Do Shaolin também, esquisitinho. Da Anux de um feio. A música começou a ficar alta, galera. O volume é o mesmo que tava. E é isso. A do Zanru eu achei até mais ou menos. Como sempre, eu gostei mais do equipamento dos cavaleiros, mas com muitas ressalvas. Eu acho que esse negócio do passe de batalha, você talvez aproveita um ou outro item para combinar com outras lâminas, né? Aí eu acho válido, mas ele full montado assim, eu não acho legal não. Agora sim, Testing Grounds. Agora é a hora que importa. Deixaram o meu espacinho aqui embaixo, ó. Que legal.
Yeah, super. I'm ready for this.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a really awesome.
É a hora do careca, melhor hora da
we're
live.
missing somebody actually. We can't really do the testing grounds without a certain someone.
Ah, vai chamar o gordão, né? Aí chama o gordão.
Were you guys do this without me? What's happening? Magically appear like this?
Esses são os caras que manjam do For Honor. A melhor parte da live.
I'm pretty good. What about you guys?
Doing good.
Yeah, super.
I'm very excited because like when it comes to the testing grounds, we have like a little bit to kind of get through. We want to kind of go over the previous testing grounds that we had, what we kind of learned from it. So, Stefan, why don't you go ahead and start us off? What did we kind of learn from the recent testing grounds, and where do you kind of see
testing grounds que já
things playing out?
teve, né?
Perfect. We got a bunch of cool stuff coming at the start of the Tempest season. Some of the things will come from the testing ground. Some of it will not come at the start of the season and will be delayed to another testing ground. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then there's a couple other cool improvements that we're going to see also at the start of the season.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of go over just like a little like rundown of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about some of the Orochi improvements and where the team is kind of looking at taking him once ready for live. We're also going to talk about some Raider improvements because I have seen a lot of Raider threads over on Reddit and Steam, and I know there are some questions that the community would like to have answered. And then we're also going to get into option selects, another thing we also had in the testing grounds. And
those are the big three that came from testing grounds in the previous season. Shinobi has a number of cool things in it and a number of things we need to fix, so that's why it's going to go to another testing ground. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but the others are going to go live with some fixes.
Very, very exciting. I'm really excited. I'm also really excited to see what we're doing for Shinobi V2 as we're kind of dubbing him here. But yeah, freaking Orochi Raider coming
Isso
to...
parece que vai entrar direto.
Option select as well, right?
Eu achei que ia ter mais testing grounds.
All of that awesome stuff will be
changes.
launching.
Já é mudança agora.
Coming. Very excited. We're also going to talk about sticky dodge, crash charge changes, a couple of other things as well. But yeah, that be coming with Tempest. Let's go ahead and get into what we will be discussing for this new testing ground, season 19. There's going to be a lot of really cool things. So, let's start off with Orochi.
Não vai entrar nada.
Let's get into some Orochi details.
Vai ser tudo testado de novo.
Awesome. Super high level. I just want to say thanks to everybody who participated in the previous testing ground, filled out the survey, played, killed people, got killed by people, all the good stuff. We need your feedback, and this is why you're going to see some of the improvements that are being made to both Orochi and Raider that are going live with the testing ground improvements, and also why we'll see Shinobi at the end of this in the next testing ground. The loop is basically we require your input and your help to make things happen. So you're going to see some results of that today.
Awesome. Now let's now JC, why don't we go ahead and get into some of the good stuff about Orochi, some of the things people liked, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, Orochi, I think from what we got from the surveys and what we've seen from the community, was by far the most well received one out of the bunch that we had. People were super hyped. There was a lot of really, really good stuff. The main point that we got, I think I saw it on Reddit like a million times, is dodge cancel timing, right? So
yeah,
a lot of people were kind of unhappy at when you could dodge cancel out of stuff with Orochi. So we're going to go over it, but that was the main sticking point. We've also made some other changes based on feedback, so we're going to go through them one by one.
Sick, let's do it.
All right. So first up, we have dodge cancel, like I was mentioning, right? So it wasn't as effective in group fights as we expected. So on top of getting a lot of feedback how it felt maybe like a bit unresponsive or not super good, the other data that we've gathered was that it wasn't as strong as we wanted to. So because of that, we've put it at 200 ms after every single recovery. It used to be at 333, so now at 200, it's a lot more effective. You can dodge out of stuff. You can also still delay it up to a 333, so it gives you a bit more flexibility in how you can use it. Try to get some like meaty deflects and stuff. So that's kind of cool. And we also added the possibility of dodge canceling dodge attacks as well. We weren't able to before. We were a bit worried about a bunch of those things, like having people do dodge for a kick over and over and over again, for example. So now that we're a lot less concerned with that one specifically. So with this, we can cancel your dodge attack recoveries with other dodge. So that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see those animated
basicamente, o Orochi vai
the main question
ser igual o Zanhu, cancelar todos os movimentos dele, cancelar o recover com dash attack.
And the main reason for that is because with the introduction of the kick, certain things would have been guaranteed at the old timings, like the 200 ms timing that you see here. So we've adjusted a couple other things to try to compensate for this. So you're not guaranteed to get a kick after something else.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes a big difference then too. All right. So other changes, right? So we also heard you guys. The Orochi's damage was a bit overtuned, was a bit too high, especially with all those combo lights. So now we've reduced the damage of most of Orochi's openers by 2. It kind of varies. Yeah. It doesn't sound like much, but it actually makes a bit of a difference. So that's interesting. The other really top requested feedback was that zone attack still felt a bit lackluster, was not super useful.
Ou seja, não é só aquele zone para, né? Você vai dar o zone e vai continuar batendo.
Officially a chain starter. So we're gonna have video at the end of this. We can show you. But zone attack counts as an opener, so you can do dodge attack, zone attack rather, into combo light, into like dodge cancels, into top heavy finisher, into whatever you like. That's pretty good. We've also put light dodge attacks back to being light parries. They were heavy parries. That's kind of an experiment.
Dash light
we ended up like
Orochi
it wasn't as a
ser
bug.
punido como heavy, ele vai voltar a ser punido como
right.
light.
So that's it. So we kept.
Ou seja, se você der parry na esquiva com light do Orochi, você vai punir ele com heavy, tá? Isso no test grounds não estava funcionando, não sabia se era bug, que era.
They're back to being light parries, so Orochis can just constantly side dodge light or riptide and then never get punished for it. That's pretty good. And last but not least, another thing that was brought up by a lot of players was that Wind Gust, which is the deflect punish, did not beat armored attacks, right? Uninterruptable stance is armor. So it did not beat it. So you couldn't deflect somebody and then do Wind Gust into armor and not beat them, kind of like what Valkyrie can do, for example. So now Wind Gust properly does that. So you're pretty much guaranteed your Wind Gust every single time you manage to deflect, which is really, really, really useful for Orochi. So we can have that video now for a zone attack if we want, Max.
O zone.
Max is superstar.
Ô, louco.
So yeah, we
Que
can see now that,
esquisito.
so zone attack goes into top of your finisher,
ok,
you can do
mas no
combo
duplo
light,
light
you
ficou
can do
meio
whatever
estranho.
you want. It basically is
Olha,
a
estranho.
chain starter.
That's good stuff. I definitely do think that having changing that's probably
Ô,
going
louco,
to do
calma
a
aí, meu,
lot
vocês estão
more
acelerando
for
muito isso aí.
Orochi. And as someone who's been trying to learn Orochi, I'm very excited to have kind of like more.
Eu queria ver o
goodies to
negócio do
play with. Let's
deflect.
get over to Raiders.
Pelo que eu
Let's talk about
entendi ali,
Raiders.
ele tá garantindo o
Raiders is,
deflect agora. Antes você
Raiders
podia
is a big
interromper
fan
o deflect,
favorite,
agora
right?
você não interrompe mais.
I've seen a lot of feedback. I've received massive documents from some players in the community with what they'd like to see done to Raider. So yeah, we can get into it. Steph, you want to walk us through like a bit of the feedback
Rework do Raider. Pra mim tava bom,
Sure,
só
I mean,
hiperarma que não podia sair.
A lot of it was
Vamos ver o que
quite
eles vão
well received. There's some questions about like, hey, should the Stampede charge really be a 500 ms, for example, which, I mean, Ben will talk about when we get to crashing charge as well. Armor timings, some of the chain rules that were a little, let's say, old school on Raider. It's like, hey, can I be a little more free on this character and effective with my armor?
Yeah. We'll see. I think the changes we're gonna have are gonna make some players, especially one specific guy, who, like I said, sent me like a huge Word document with like a university level dissertation of what to do with Raider. So I think that person should be quite happy with these changes.
Tava
I
200
commend
ms,
players
diminuíram
that have
agora.
the
Eu
patience
acho
and
que
the
vai
time to
melhorar na
type
teamfight esse
long
heavy do
stuff
Raider
like that.
aí.
I've seen a lot of them.
Like honestly, it
gets
was
read. I mean, like people don't believe we read it, but I mean, if you get there and it gets on the front page, we're gonna read it. So.
Depois eu vou explicar
And, like,
detalhado,
honestly,
tá, galera?
Like I'm joking about it a little bit, but it was super appreciated. And so like whenever we get like any feedback is good feedback, so we're always happy to take it and read it. And
basicamente.
Okay, so let's go through it, right? So first up we have uninterruptable stance timing. Again, that's armor, so we gotta be careful. So now we have armor at 100 ms on every chain heavy attack. A lot of the feedback we got from the previous timing was that Raider was really weak in group fights. He wasn't getting interrupted quite a bit.
O Raider estava muito fraco em teamfight, porque eles tiraram a Hyper Armor do segundo heavy, ou aumentaram muito tempo para entrar. Então agora eles diminuíram, então vai entrar Hyper Armor mais rápido do heavy.
Trade with dodge attacks, you can still do a bunch of different things with that, so that's really useful.
So just a quick little bit of info there is like we can't have it at 0 for rollback reasons. We can have it later. Honestly, I thought more people would be mad about it being earlier, but they want it earlier, so okay, cool.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Sure.
All right, so next up we have chain improvements, another big thing that people are super excited about. So you can now do Raider Storm to Raider's Fury, right? So you can do the full Raider Copter as much as you want, whatever you like. But yeah, so that's really good. Another change that we haven't listed here, but that's important to note because that's another big feedback that we got is that the Raider Storm, which is the neutral zone, was costing 12 stamina. It's up to 20. Just because like it was super easy to get massive pressure when somebody was out of stamina. So we changed that a little bit, but there's compensation for it a bit further down the line, so we're going to be doing that. We also added new chain routes for Raider, another big requested thing. So Raider can now chain to his light finishers after his second heavy in chain. So you now have light, heavy, light, and heavy, light as chain routes. Should help make him a little bit less predictable and have a bit better flow, and you're not forced to go into your heavy finishers or like your Raider's Fear or whatever. And last but not least, Storming Tap now changed to the second hidden chains instead of chain to finishers. That's also another really big change. That's super useful for Raider because it lets him. You're not stuck whenever you used to land the Storming Tap. You would always go into your finishers, and those finishers were like, okay, I can't really keep going. So it was hard to use in chains, and you kind of felt forced to reuse Storm and Tap or whatever. So with this way, you can do Storm and Tap into a heavy, into like a zone attack or a light finisher or whatever you'd like. So that's really strong. We have a video for this as well, Max, if you want to play it.
Eu quero ver aqui essa explicação aí.
Oh yeah,
Zone.
Yeah, so zone to zone, all right.
Zone,
Can we call that the Storming Storm?
Isso aí já tinha. Heavy.
The Storming Storm.
Esse lightzinho finalizador que não tinha. Ó, esse light finalizador aí não tinha. O segundo, quando dava o heavy, finalizava. O Stunning Tap agora, ele vai. Depois dele, você pode dar mais 2 golpes, é isso. Você normalmente dava só um heavy e encerrava. Agora você pode dar um heavy mais um light. Ou um heavy mais um heavy, pelo que eu entendi. Ou seja, mais sequências, né? Mais change pro Raider.
Raider was better in the testing grounds, but it was still a bunch of stuff that needed a bit further tweaking, so we're super
diminuiu o tempo de todos os golpes.
Compensations, I said
os
earlier,
heavies,
for
no caso,
Raider
né?
Storm being a bit costing more stamina, is we've sped up Raider's neutral heavy attacks. So top of your opener rather is now 900 milliseconds. It's your go-to light parry punish. And then the side of the openers are 800 ms. So you can use those as guard break punishes now. That's part of the intent, right? Where before you would always use your zone attack, and now it costs more. That was part of why it was costing 12 as well. So now with that back to 20, the side of the finisher, the side of the openers rather, being 800 kind of helps.
Agora,
making sure
o
that you
top
can
heavy pode
more
ser
damage
dado
in case
como
you don't want to
punição de
stand.
parrying light, e o side heavy pode ser conectado no guard break.
That might seem like slightly weird
Antigamente
number.
só
I
o
was
Zone
gonna ask about
conectava
that.
no
Well,
Guard
it's a very
Break e o
specific
Side
number. Why
Heavy
don't you
no
tell
Bearing
us
Light.
what the reasoning behind it is?
That entire 33 milliseconds is the difference between landing a Storming Tap, going to Raider's Fury, and being interrupted or trading and not, right? So with this change, Raider can do Storming Tap into Raider's Fury, and if your opponent was mashing Light to interrupt, not only will they not interrupt, it won't trade, and Raider is going to win every single time in this situation.
Diminuiu o tempo do Curupita agora,
like, oh
e você não pode mais
33
interromper o
milliseconds, but that makes
Curupita
a
com
huge
Light. Isso é
difference on
muito
Raider.
bom, cara.
That's
Porque, tipo,
really
o cara viu o Curupita Light, foda-se.
Yeah,
Não
and
tem
then
Hyper Armor. Agora
this is
você
one of the-
vai fazer
I
um
think
trade.
the last huge thing on Raider that a lot of people were talking about, like I remember reading feedback from some of the pro players that I was seeing that they actually preferred trading with Raider's Fury, just because the recovery of a lot of his attacks was super long. So we did a pass on them, and they're now maxed out at 800 milliseconds.
Melhorou
So it's not
o
as,
recovery
like,
do
the
Raider.
ones that were faster, like for heavy finishers and light finishers and all of his light attacks, are still going to be 700 on hit block, but on miss and for his other attacks as well, they're maxed out at 800, which means that you should be frame advantage. You should have like much better control over Raider's attacks, and it should really help with his recoveries that were quite long. Some of them were like over a second, and so with this, it's a significant buff to Raider, to his group fight ability. He feels much better in 1v1 as well. So it's
Raider
There's
vai
one
ficar bom, hein?
similar thread that came through for both Orochi and Raider. It's like whether it's on recoveries or chain rules or dodge timings on
Preciso fazer
Orochi.
mais
It's like
vídeo de jogar
I
duelo
want
de Raider com
my
esse
character
buff
to
aí.
feel good.
Yeah.
And then separately viability we talk about, but feel was a big one in this testing ground.
Yeah, so it's super important. So that's it for Raider. So we're going to look at the other changes now.
Vamos ver outras mudanças.
I do believe that one of these changes is option selects. Now, I was one of the
Olha aí,
many
hein?
members on the community team that was keeping an eye on like option select kind of feedback, and correct me if I'm wrong, I definitely do think the change on TG was very well received. A lot of players seemed like the game like breathed new life into the game, which is nice. So super excited we're finally being able to get this into the live build, so players can play around and you know not lose their matches hopefully. But yeah, let's talk about option selects.
Yeah, okay. So option selects are in. So the improvements that we did on the testing grounds are going in as is. Including zone option select. I know some people are going to be a little bit disappointed that they liked it, and that it helped players defend in group fights. But at the end of the day, remove from this.
I'm just watching Stefan like laughing and like, yeah,
I thought you were
screw these guys.
editorializing. I didn't know I was. What? No.
Yeah,
It feels a little shocking at first. If you don't know what option selects are, don't worry about it. The only thing you need to know is that you were losing matches to people who knew what it was.
Yeah.
And the odds were very skewed against you.
Isso
They
que ele
weren't
tá
making
falando é muito
reads, they were just
interessante. Tipo, quem
screwing you with
conhecia os
mechanics,
Option
basically.
Select
So
tinha
that's remove number
vantagem
one.
sobre quem não
Number
conhecia.
two, will
Então
time
se
to kill
você não
be too
conhecia,
high
pode ficar
for
sossegado.
ultra
Você
top
não
level
tá
play.
perdendo nada. Agora
We
quem
will
se
see as
achava
time
mais
goes on.
espertão porque usava
But the game is so much
esses,
healthier, so much better.
né?
And
Não é
then you got me
glitch, mas essas
editorializing, but like,
técnicas
this
pra
is a good change.
ter
Everybody
vantagem,
enjoy it,
você não vai
please.
ter mais. Simples assim. Você vai ter que
and
seguir
if
as
not,
regras do jogo
we can
agora.
do it like
É imbloqueável,
Internally, we've
esquiva
been
ou dá
playing with
parry.
this
Não
on
vai ter
for,
mais
like, a couple of
Option
months
Select.
now, and
É isso.
I think nobody on the team that's been playing can say that the game doesn't like objectively feel way better.
It's
Like,
scary at first, though. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
like we were scared even in
E
our
isso,
in our
esse buff deixa
sessions
o
and
Raider
so on,
ainda
but,
mais forte, porque agora
over
o cara
time
vai
you're
ter que
actually like,
escolher
it slightly
se ele vai
changes
dar parry ou se ele
the
vai esquivar dos
the dynamics
Kurupika.
from defense to offense, but the games don't become like bizarre, broken because of it. It feels good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
And,
got me
I mean,
ranting
what I
here, but
noticed-
we'll pass it.
Like I thought like the good players would kind of be brought down to our levels because now they couldn't do all of the option select stuff. But really, if you're a good player at For Honor, you're still a good player even without the option select. So like, don't worry about that too much. You'll get adjusted to it, and you'll still be owning noobs just like before.
I mean, like honestly, all three of us get regularly bodied by PKLX and Nuke, so it's not like they're not good anymore, or so it feels really good. One thing I want to add though is that the tech that we have to clear out option selects deals with the vast majority of them. There's one that I won't go into detail because it's like pretty complicated. That we got feedback on during the testing grounds that is a lot more complicated to use. That is not addressed by this, but we're going to address it in a further update. That we're going to look into it to make sure that it's also fixed in the future.
Awesome! Super excited to hear about that. Oh, is that
No.
rally call?
Yeah.
Rally call.
Is that like we're not doing that now, are we? Like,
Is that
I thought
supposed to
we were
work?
gonna wait a few years again.
I thought we're supposed to
Rally
bust
call é
it
o
forever.
segundo talento.
Like,
Yeah.
using type of functionality.
Right?
You know,
That's the joke.
Free
I like,
today in one of his videos that we kind of teased it. No, we didn't really tease it. It was just
that was just, but yeah, I liked how Joss kind of went over it and skipped it because he got distracted. That was hilarious. I was like, yeah, chat is probably just going crazy right now.
Eu não
but
sei
we
que
completely ignored
são
it.
talentos esses aí.
So yeah,
mas...
I didn't do it. Will in heaven did it for us. So he fixed rally call. So if you're playing
Still
Dao,
slightly different work. Everything's okay.
he's
Don't
not,
worry.
he's not dead. He's not dead.
Don't
by the
worry,
way.
it's
He's
fine.
fine.
Okay.
So yeah, the rally call now actually does something. And we also did something to how it considers critical and very critical health. So now when you're below 50, it's going to activate, and it's not going to get better when you're at below 25. So it's an even better feat if it had worked all this time. And the Vital Leech also got the same treatment, basically. So look forward to getting that feedback into your feed selection on this hero and see how that feels. Yeah.
Yeah, try it out one more time. If you've turned it off for 3 years,
Yeah.
it's time to try it out once more.
Give it a whirl.
Yeah.
actually.
So yeah, no, these are all of the changes that will be launching with Tempest when it comes out on September 9th. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get into the new testing grounds.
Sorry, just before
Wait,
we...
Oh, isso é
There's
bom,
more.
hein?
There's more.
But wait, there's more.
Esquiva agora não é mais baseado
I
na
thought it was gonna be late
orientação
season
da
2, but I
câmera,
was proven wrong
mas
as well,
no input
so-
do
so,
jogador.
check
Porra,
this one out.
quantas
Sticky
vezes eu tô
dodge.
jogando em live
Yeah, so,
que eu
sticky dodge, right?
xingo
So,
a
if you
câmera,
don't know what
porque
sticky
tipo o
dodge
cara
is,
tá de um
you
lado
probably
assim, ó,
have
aí você tá
experienced it, but you
defendendo
didn't
aqui.
know what was going on.
Aí o cara é um
It's a bit of
Kensei,
an
dá
issue
um
that we
dash
had in
heavy,
the
vem
game
parar nas
where
suas costas.
it typically
E aí a
happens when
sua
you target
guarda,
swap during an
a
attack.
câmera
So if
gira e você
the-
tava
the- the-
defendendo
you
aqui,
would
você toma o
dodge
golpe do
the
outro
game in
lado, tá
relation
ligado?
to where your camera was
Só porque a
facing.
câmera
If your
rodou,
camera-
você
like,
não
if
fez
you
nada,
were
mas
seeing
o
yourself
Kensei deu um
and you would
dash
dodge
ou
to
um
the left,
grifo e aí a
like on
câmera
your
faz isso aqui, ó.
controller, you did left and
E,
dodge,
o cara,
and
e
you would
você
dodge
toma o
to the
golpe.
right,
Então,
because
pelo que eu
you would
entendi,
move
isso vai
in
acabar.
relation, you would dodge in
Agora
relation
vamos
to
ver
the
se vai
camera. So
funcionar
it
na
made, like,
prática, né?
for some super really weird situations. Sometimes you would try to back dodge and you would front dodge and like all sorts of weird things. So we've actually addressed this, so we're no longer in those sticky situations. That was not the easiest one to do. Yeah, so basically dodging is no longer based on camera orientation, but it's based on player input. So right now, if you hold left and you dodge, your character should always dodge to the left.
É o que eu
Or to
falei,
the
eu
right,
acabei de
or
falar.
whatever direction you were holding. The important thing to know is that this should be fixed for pretty much everything, but there might still be some dodge attacks that might have issues with like targeting.
Cara, ele tá falando exatamente o que eu
If you do
falei.
experience those,
Só que eu falei antes
please
dele, porque isso
report
já é
them
algo que
and,
me irrita há
we'll
muito
look into
tempo.
them, make sure
E a hora
we're
que eu li a
fixing them.
descrição, eu já
But
imaginei que era
overall,
isso.
this issue should be really fixed, and it works so much better. I remember, Ben, I don't know if you want to recall when the first time you tried it out, how happy you were.
This is low-key the best change, like since release. This is the best fix. Like people don't even realize how frustrated they are at sticky dodge. I think, like they think, oh shit, why did I not dodge in the right direction? This game is bugged, and they didn't even realize like there was like a game-wide thing, right? And now it's fixed. So it's like mad props to this. It's so much more fun to play the game now.
Ah, demorou pouquinho só pra
Yeah,
vocês
amazing
arrumar
stuff.
isso
I
aí.
mean, great job to everybody on the Forerunner team.
Crushing
All these
charge.
things,
No longer
it's amazing to
has
see.
an crushing
So we
charge.
got what? We got one more before we get into the testing ground, I think.
Benjamin's getting
Yeah.
excited over here.
Yeah. So I like at the start. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it said crashing charge improvement. So we made it better, right? So now when you hit someone, you teleport to the nearest ledge and they explode into a glory of guts. So yeah, it's not an improvement, it's a nerf, because this move is crazy.
Ótimo.
So
Vai
first
nerfar o
up,
Crashing
when
Charge.
you get someone
Pra
with
quem não
Crashing
sabe, é
Charge
usar
as a
Warlord que fica correndo igual um idiota,
it's
te
no
empurrando
longer
com o
a
escudo.
case of even if a catapult hits you, you're still gonna get thrown off the ledge. Now there is reaction when someone hits you. There's no super armor. There's no complete invincibility going on anymore. So that's the first thing. Secondly, you could crashing charge into a wall, let someone go, hits the wall, you go back into unlock, you run, and you crash and charge him again, into the wall again. He has no stamina. Alt F4, I don't know, the game's over. It's really annoying. So,
Gozado que os caras sabem o que a gente passa.
Yeah,
Por que não arruma isso antes, tá ligado?
Like getting someone to a ledge from 40,000 miles away.
There's a notorious video that we watched where it's like the guy is like full stamina, gets hit on the wall like 2 times, has no stamina, gets unbalanced. The Warlord eats an ice cream cone.
E não derruba mais.
Boom,
Olha aí,
again,
Charge não derruba mais cara sem estamina.
Quick selfie or anything, and then he just does this again until he reaches the ledge, and the guy just dies, and it was the saddest thing ever. So now, crashing charge no longer unbalances people that are out of stamina. So now you should no longer be having infinites with crashing charge. It's still a great move in itself.
Nerfzinho aí pro Warlord, tá precisando, né?
Really overwhelming elements of the move. So here's hoping that meets our players' expectations.
We've slowed it down a bit, right?
We slowed it down a bit. It was, I think, 700 ms. Now it's 600 ms. So it's on par with the new Stampede charge, basically.
Yeah, so both end up at 6 at this point instead of 5, which we tested, I think, later on in testing ground. So that's super cool. I think less solo infinites is always good. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the Dominion series with possibly the strongest character, or very close to it, taking this nerf.
Yeah, Warlord's a crazy meta pick, so,
então, isso já vai entrar agora com o patch da temporada.
Crashing Charge
quando vem esse patch.
A bit frustrating, so I'm happy
agora,
that we're
testing grounds.
kind of making some changes to it. And I also like that you mentioned Dominion, because now this is the perfect segment. I was getting ahead of myself earlier. Now let's talk about the new testing grounds, which will be running from September 16th to September 30th. Again, we will also have a Shinobi V2 version in this round of testing grounds, which we will get into in a little bit. But let's go ahead and start off from the top and talk about.
Vamos lá. Como eu disse no começo da live, Shinobi não ia passar, porque tava muito ruim. Então vai mudar.
I think we're starting with Shinobi, dude.
Vai mudar coisas no modo de jogo domínio. Caramba.
But I'm honored by your excitement.
I'm very excited, actually.
Shinobi tava muito ruim,
with
cara.
Shinobi. The first round, we definitely did see like a lot of positive reactions from the community. There are a couple of things that they are looking to see kind of improved on and tweaked a little bit. But let's go ahead and dive right into it. What do we have?
O feedback foi bem recebido, porque tava horrível. É muito forte, dados os bugs, isso é verdade. Muito forte e muito bugado.
Shinobi was a bit too strong, partially because of some bugs that we've addressed, but also because of some like other weirdo issues and some stuff that we're gonna go into a little bit deeper.
Quem jogou
The
sabe
other issue that Shinobi had was that
por isso que eu digo, o rework do Shinobi estava horrível. Vamos ver o que eles vão fazer para melhorar, né?
For a lot of different reasons. And Shinobi also suffered from some input leniency problems. I'm happy I can pronounce that correctly. Yeah, so we've made some changes to that as well. All right, so let's get to it.
We're going to talk about Wallsplat eventually, right?
Yeah, Wallsplat.
Right.
Tiraram aquele bleed, nada a ver.
Okay, so bug, not a feature.
Agora vai dar dano normal.
From Shinobi entirely. I know some people are going to be disappointed. Oh, I like that my Shinobi would make people bleed. But there's a lot of good coming from removing bleed, right? So we remove bleed damage from Sickle Rain, from Shadow Strike, and from Teleport. But all these attacks now deal direct damage. So Shadow Strike, which is the light parry punish, deals 18, and Teleport now deals 24 upfront. I think people are going to be super excited about that. Bleeding there didn't make much sense anyway. And it's also a lot easier to balance, and it feels better when your damage comes in right away. Like, you do lose a little bit of synergy with like Nobushi or Shaman or whatever. But at the end of the day, like Shinobi did not need that, and this is also kind of a bit of an adjustment because revenge is not affected by bleeding. So if you bleed somebody, it doesn't feed them extra revenge. This now does. So it has an effect on when you actually land sickle rain, you're not able to do it infinitely and go, I can never pop revenge. So that's
that free Predator's Mercy, man. I'm gonna miss
it.
it.
I know. It's, Shaman is Steph's baby. So.
No bias.
Vamos ver.
Sickle rain, right? So we did a couple of changes to sickle rain as well. It's no longer accessible after a guard break. We had initially done that change to kind of have the same feeling as you had when you did a range guard break. You can go
de dano, mas
immediately.
Ainda dá
and also
dano
made Shinobi super threatening whenever you did like feint to guard breaks and stuff. But it was honestly a bit
no
too strong.
Logan ignora spinning rules.
Porra,
isso é o básico, né, cara? Porque o Sickle Rain, ele tava ignorando tudo. Qualquer coisa ele ia lá e te pinava no chão e foda-se. Quando no jogo, quando você faz um movimento de pin pra interromper, a mais, bate numa parede e empurra o cara. O Shinobi não, ele tava infringindo as regras do jogo, tá ligado? Enfim, em resumo, tava cagado. A real é essa.
It also no longer ignores spinning rules. That was an issue that Shinobi on live right now, as some people have seen in videos and stuff, actually still has, but because Sickle Rain was so much more easily available, it was super apparent. So now you can't have a Shigoki, for example, do a Demon's Embrace on somebody and then have a random Shinobi just Sickle Rain you out of it and still pin you. So that's also
ele tá explicando o que eu acabei de falar.
And it also no longer drains stamina. It used to drain 30 stamina when it landed. It was done in a bit of a weird, janky way. So that's all been
eu acho engraçado, ele fala os negócios agora e dá risada, mas foram eles que fizeram esse rework por. Então, tipo, né?
Still pins for a long period of time, still really easily accessible. And the changes from the previous testing grounds are still in, right? So it's still unblockable from top, undodgeable from sides, all that good stuff. So that should still it's a change. It makes it a little worse, but it's still a very, very, very good. Next up we have ranged heavy.
Óbvio, né? Não dá mais wall splat, isso é o básico do básico. It was interesting,
right? Because the wall splat was,
pelo amor de Deus,
granted,
né,
a bit too strong. Mostly because you got free sickle rings
afterwards. Tem vídeo meu na Twitch assim, o Shinobi me batendo infinitamente sem eu me mexer porque ele dava wall splat toda hora.
Was that you could target swap it, and we had intentionally
não troca mais de alvo,
swap, right? So you could actually be good with a Shinobi in a group fight.
Ou seja, ele já não vai ficar mais tão god, né?
Kick them, target swap, throw out a range heavy at somebody.
E não é mais acessável do backflip. Eu acho ok.
And that felt really good, but the problem was that you could
ele tava muito forte, né, meu?
An off-screen, relatively highly damaging bash that you could not see coming at all. So because of that, we removed the target swapping from range heavy. You can still target swap the front roll though, so you can still go on a single target, dodge kick into range heavy, target swap, roll, and it's still gonna work. But that's it. It was a little bit too frustrating for players, so we removed the target swap from it. And because we removed the target swap from it, it no longer made sense for that range heavy to be accessible after a backflip, because you can just it was so easy to dodge that it made zero sense to use it. So the main purpose of having it after a backflip was to target swap it. So because we removed it, it made no sense really to have it there.
It sounds like it'll be a lot less, not really spammy, but I guess just frustrating, just constantly just getting splatted.
Yeah,
ajustaram o input do.
The other reason too is that
dos golpes front roll e o Shadow Strike, tipo, você dava a impressão que você apertava o botão e o Shinobi não respondia corretamente, sabe? Basicamente isso. Disseram que arrumaram. Tudo isso vai ter que testar, né? Então eu nem vou hypar muito essas mudanças aí. Até a gente vem em prática, porque eu hypei bastante o rework e me decepcionei muito.
Didn't seem to kind of grasp where we were going with it, which is fine. That's my mistake. But the idea was that you would front roll and you had a huge window to buffer your follow-ups, whether it was the flip kick or sickle rain. But because that window felt a bit unnatural, people didn't really take to it, and they would typically hit the buttons late, and then the wrong thing would come out. So we've actually made the input window a bit longer, so you can actually do flip kick and sickle rain a bit later after you do a front row. I have to warn you though, if you don't buffer it, it might not be as strong against players who early dodge it, but at least the comfort's going to be there and it's going to be good to play as, and it makes sense. The other thing we did was for Shadow Strike, the window we had to actually use a Shadow Strike was so tiny. Ben remembers this when we were doing Centurion. There we had like some super small input windows, so it's now much bigger. It's a lot easier to land a Shadow Strike and go into your mix-ups when you manage to parry. That also feels really good. Yeah. Okay, front roll and backflip. So we've done a couple of changes to those as well, so that they feel more like they're dodges, right? So they now have iframes are for 300 milliseconds on front and back. I think backflip having iframes is one of the things that people have been claiming for the longest time since we lowered
não tem mais
the range that it
vulnerabilidade
had.
de break.
Like it would go back for so far that it was kind of crazy. But with this, at least, like, you're able to avoid attacks with it. That's pretty
qualquer
good.
ataque que
But
acertar,
they no longer
errar
have guard break
ou defender,
vulnerability.
ou seja, qualquer
Invulnerability,
ataque
rather.
que não
Sorry,
for
I did a
pareado.
bit of a typo there. So you can get guard broken when
E
you're
o
doing a
front
front roll or a
essa
backflip.
vai
So
mais pra frente
the idea
agora.
is that it's
Tem que ver
more
como
like
vai
a
ficar.
dodge, like I said. So you have to be a bit more careful when you use them. But you're still you should be able to avoid attacks with it, which is kind of like more what dodges do. Backflip also now can be accessed after most attacks on hit, block, and miss. Back to how it is on live, pretty much. So you can people that miss doing a light backflip, you can now do it if you want. Although you're not really gonna get a range heavy afterwards. So, but that's part of why.
Cara,
we
parece que
also
foi feito no
the
Paint,
range heavies
né,
after
meu?
backflip. Since you can now
Essa
backflip
imagem
on command on a
pô,
bunch of things,
porcão, né,
it doesn't
velho?
make a lot of
Não
sense
tá
to be
meio
able
porcão
to
isso
just
aqui?
off-screen backflip.
No
into a range
Canva
heavy
lá eu
instead,
faria uma
right?
melhor.
But with this, what's interesting is that it gives Shinobi a lot of options to avoid dodge attacks and to be able to be a bit more mobile when he's playing, so that should really help him out. And last but not least, front roll has extra forward movement. Some of the feedback we got from some players was that they like to be able to target swap front roll, but it didn't go further enough. So you would just like target swap front roll, and Shinobi would be like, "Oh, what's a roll?" And then he would just like roll in place. Kind of
What's that?
What's that, right? So it would just like do a barrel roll in front, and you wouldn't go anywhere. So that didn't really work well. So we had those changes as well for those two. And then finally, this mostly affects dodges and double dodges.
Double dodge
So we removed the ability of double dodge to dodge backwards. That was still a problem. We got a lot of
Esquiva
feedback from
dupla
players
não
at higher
pode ir pra
levels
trás,
that's saying,
mas
look,
acho que CG não podia,
Shinobi
né?
is still so slippery that I can't do anything about him because he still just does side dodge, back dodge, side dodge, back dodge. So that felt really bad. So we removed that completely. So Shinobi can't just run away from opponents as easily as he could before. But double dodge can now access openers like you can on live right now. So you can do side double dodge into a light or into a heavy and get those options back. We had to remove them because they felt a little bit weird to have on those double dodges, but a lot of players said that they were actually really useful and were using them, so we put them back in. Another thing that we're trying out is that front dodge kick. You can now do it at 200 ms from front dodge, and you can delay it up until 500, compared to before where it was 300. So that's a test we're also doing to see if it actually helps, because we know that when it's at 100, it's super strong, and at 300, depending on what the character can do. So some characters that have like dodge for like light or heavy options, for like Zanhu, for example, you can't just go, oh, I see any type of red and I dodge and I beat everything. So with this, hopefully it's going to be a bit harder to react to, and at especially high levels, it should have a bit more viability. And the last thing we did was that double dodge now costs 6 stamina. We had removed the cost on it because it was like, okay, well, we want to have Shinobi to be more mobile and stuff. But again, people were like spamming double dodges and like running circles around people nonstop. It's kind of cool, but at the same time, we don't want people to be able to just infinitely dodge. And also, because the double dodge grants a second deflect attempt, right? You kind of have to have some sort of small cost to pay to be able to have that sort of strength, but it's still pretty strong. That's it for Shinobi changes.
Vamos ver essas mudanças no domínio. Coisa pra caralho do Shinobi. Quando lançar eu faço um vídeo falando, porque é muita coisa. Tem que testar tudo isso.
We're doing to Dominion. Now, mind you, this is for the testing grounds. It's not going live right away. So definitely,
Vamos ver o que eles querem
testing
mudar
grounds
no
goes
modo
live, go
de
ahead and
jogo
give us your
domínio,
feedback.
cara.
But
Isso é interessante.
Steph, I need to ask you, what was the reasoning behind wanting to
Qual a
kind of
razão
tweak
por vocês querem mudar?
Dominion a little bit and kind of do what we're doing with Dominion? I don't want to spoil it, so
I guess I'll spoil it a little bit then. Basically, with Dominion, there's a couple of problems that we experience in the game right now. Like one, how predictable is it from game to game? Like, when are you getting your feats unlocked? When are the renown bonuses coming? There's a number of renown bonuses. You'll know Ace. You'll know some other ones that are like, they happen at pretty unpredictable times, let's say. Like, either you'll get it and suddenly your team will be rocking, or you won't and your team will be losing. And the other one I can sum up in a nutshell that I think everyone can relate to is like, I'm an assassin and I either got my tier 4 in like 3 minutes, or I never got even out of my tier like 1 and 2 the whole game, even though I dominated. It's quite...
I get it.
Yes, exactly. It's quite feast or famine for especially for assassins, and so we're trying to smooth this out a little bit. And I'll let Benjamin, I think, hit the real notes, but I think that's a high level.
Awesome. Too late. You spoiled it.
I spoiled all the good stuff. Sorry.
All right, Benjamin.
Tô achando
walk
que o
us
ganho de renome vai se igualar, pelo que eu entendi que ele falou
on the
ali.
testing grounds, because it's I don't like graphs or weird things like this with multicolors and letters and numbers. So
vai mudar o ganho de renome, vai padronizar.
Easily as possible.
Yeah. Okay, for sure. But still, take out your monster or something, because you're gonna be hearing me talk over graphs for a while.
Isso, hein?
So yeah, first off,
vai focar em kill, o ganho de renome vai ser kill.
So
defender a área não vai ter mais ganho, só capturar.
Because it's our most favorite mode, it's our most popular. So we are doing definitely a testing ground on this, and we're going to be needing your feedback. So please go play this thing a lot, so that we can look at the data, and then figure out where we go from here. So here we go. So first off, the thing that Steph just spoiled for us is that yes, Vanguard, Assassin, Heavy, Hybrid, doesn't matter. You kill someone, you're going to get the same amount of renown. You contest the zone, you're going to get the same amount of renown per minute. You kill a minion, and you're an assassin. You're not gonna be like, I'm getting half the renown than everyone else. No, everyone now gets the same amount of renown. So that's the thing that we expect everyone is going to be on board with. Like, they're gonna love this.
100%. You mean that can lane as an Orochi now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you can be an Orochi laner if you want. Do light, heavy, and 2 zones and be out of stamina. I think that honestly he's still probably gonna be a bad laner, but at least he's not gonna feel as bad doing it. We also kind of standardized the renown values of doing the actions in Dominion. So if you look at the top, for example, on the hero kills, hey, go back, Marks. Go back. Okay. All right. So yeah, if you look at the hero kills, you'll see that in the TG on the right is the values that you're going to be having on the testing grounds. It's at 20. It looks like we're doubling the amount of renown for each kill, but what this is not saying is that we have removed basically all of the special snowflake rewards that you got for getting hero kills. So basically, whenever you made a kill, you didn't get, for example, if you're an assassin, if you didn't get just 11, you got 11 minus a value because you were doing a dishonorable fight in a 3v1. But maybe you got some renown for killing the guy that just killed you, and maybe some other renown for doing an execution. So this is what Stefan was saying earlier. It made things very, very, very confusing for us. It made it confusing for you. And so we decided to scrap most of them. So now what you're seeing on screen right now is basically all the renown sources in Dominion now. That is all, except 3 of them, which are Revenge, Streakbreaker, and Comeback. So when you get killed a bunch of times and you get a kill, you'll get a renown bonus. When you break someone's streak, you get a bonus. and when you kill whoever killed you, you'll get a bonus. So what you'll be seeing here is that we're kind of encouraging these comeback mechanics, basically. If we go down the list a bit, you'll see as well that defense zones, the notorious defense zone, has been completely killed. So now, what it used to happen is if you were a Vanguard and you killed someone in your capture zone, every friend that was in the capture zone got 25 renown, including yourself. So you can understand that at high level, people might not want to go take that other guy's zone when the whole team is in there, because you might be giving like 100 renown to the other team like super easily. So we just axed it completely. So it's not there anymore. Otherwise, you'll see that the contest and the boosting zone values have been changed. I'll let you do the math on that one, but basically we want you to be contesting zones more and boosting zones less. So really, this is also that people feel more encouraged to go get the opposing zones. All right, now Max, you may go forward, unless JC and Stefan have some comments on this one.
I mean, honestly, I'm psyched that I can play assassins now and not have to rely on getting a million kills to get my feet. So that's, I gotta say, we've been playing this a while internally, and it felt so much better.
Yeah,
And as you say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that just like the standardization of like renown is it's nice. I've seen a couple threads and players kind of talking about that. So congratulations, there you go.
Yeah. Let's not mention that Breach has been doing it for years.
Entender a lógica dos caras, mano.
So live, as you can see
Pra
on the
mim
left,
só vai influenciar o corre-corre, que é exatamente o que eu desprezo no domínio. Um monte de louco correndo pra pegar a área, ninguém defende a área nenhuma.
Anymore.
E agora eles vão recompensar isso? Vai ficar um samba do crioulo doido, né?
So first off, we made that more, standardized, and we also made it so if you get to your feat 3, you won't accidentally get your feat 4 at the same time, because the gap between feat 4 and feat 3 is super small. So now you get a progression going forward. So feat 1, 2, 3, and 4 are progressively longer and harder to get. And we've also raised the cap at which you get feat 4 to 360, so that we can more freely add some renown sources in the game without necessarily making everyone get their feat 4 way too fast. So
não vejo motivo pra isso mudar, mas
the funny thing about this one is it seems like actually it's going to be harder to unlock feats, but in reality it turns out not to be, because of the way we've redistributed the points. And I mean, especially when you get your feat 2 and your feat 3 a little more predictably, you can use them to get your kills for your feat 4. So I think you'll find when you play, try it out a few times and see what you think, but I think you'll find you'll hit that 4 a little more reliably.
Definitely. All right, next, the zone capture speed changes. So as you know, if there are one person, if there's one person on a capture zone, it's going to take 5.5 seconds for him to
mais
capture
gente na
the
base,
zone.
mais rápido você
But
pega
if
ela.
a dead ball comes in,
Isso eu acho
it takes 0.9 seconds. So good luck countering a dead ball coming into your zone and capturing a zone. So we scrapped that whole concept, and we are trying to see what happens if, no matter how many players are in the zone, it's always going to take 5.5 seconds to capture. So really what we're aiming to be doing here is making capturing a zone feel more like a commitment, and to allow more of a counterplay when you see two guys kind of walking into your zone and you're just like a little far. You will have time to reach the zone and prevent them from capturing, getting renown, and turning the tides. So I think that's a very interesting change on those.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Sorry.
No, it's okay. What's interesting here is that, like, I know I've been talking to a lot of pro players, and they're telling me that typically what they do at the start of a match is that they have one player go to their home point, and then the other 3 start roaming. They go into the lane and start to do a bunch of different things. So that shouldn't really affect at super high level how this plays, but it should also help players that are starting to go, okay, well, we're gonna send one person to our first point, because we don't need to send 2 or 3 or 4 people there anymore, and it kind of helps with that. And also, what we're hoping to happen is that when you have like 3 or 4 people, if you're trying to go contest your opponent's home point, and then you get there, you start capping it, or something happens where they kill you, and they have to you manage to cap it. They come back, they kill you. It's not going to get instantly retaken. So it makes a huge difference in giving your team time to come back, like you were saying, and try to get it back, and try to have that little back and forth between there to kind of encourage playing more into capturing zones and that sort of stuff, rather than just, I'm going to keep my home point and then just go in the lane and just lane forever and just rotate between, home and B and all that time. So I think that should be really interesting.
Yeah, and then like when we kind of like made the changes about, and you were kind of mentioning you want people to kind of contest zones more with the amount of players on the zone not really mattering. It just allows you to have more time to get to like a certain point to contest it. So I think that's really nice. That's a really nice change. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And to finish it up, we have some changes to the hard points. So these are the points that you need to win a Dominion game. If you look on the left, you'll see that when you were controlling a minion lane, you would get 1.35 points per second. But if you're controlling one of the capture zones, you would get 0.75, which is laughable. Like, really, it's just really bad compared to the minion lane. And don't forget that while you're controlling the minion lane, you can still kill minions, which give you hard points as well. So really, there's no contesting that the minion lane was the place to be, the biggest source
Eu sempre
of
falo, a
hard
B
points,
é a
as
base
well
mais
as the
importante.
biggest source of
Ele
renown,
acabou de
because
falar.
killing minions also gives you renown. So what we're doing here is really lowering massively the worth of controlling a minion lane to be the same as controlling a zone, and we've raised the worth of controlling a capture zone. Boosting a zone, we've left mostly alone because we feel
no
the
domínio, vai
value was
dormir, mano.
already
Vai arrumar
quite high.
apareamento, vai, mano.
But
Já tô
this
ficando
way,
puto com esse
we want to try to see, like, what if all 3 points kind of
Mexer no único modo que
more
funciona
of a
na porra
balance
do jogo,
of,
meu irmão. Porra, tá de
of
brincadeira.
like, okay, so the minion lane
Já
isn't
tô perdendo a
necessarily
paciência
the
já com
end
essas
all be all
mudanças aí,
place to
velho.
be for hard points. So we want people to kind of
Opinião minha,
consider all 3
particular,
points
tá?
and kind of spread out more in a game. And really, that's about it. So as I said, we're going to be going to testing ground with this. We're going to be looking at the data.
O importante é nós
we
darmos
are
nosso feedback.
fully committed to,
Vai ser teste, né?
keep going
Então,
at this until players are mostly satisfied with the values we'll be bringing, and our hope is to make the game more balanced. So stick with us, help us with data, and hopefully we'll make Dominion more fun for y'all.
Yeah, and there's a reason why it's 2 weeks too, right? Is that we want to give players a lot of time to be able to play in that mode. And I think because it's Dominion, my hope at least is that everybody is going to be playing Testing Grounds instead of playing the regular playlist, just because, well, you're playing Dominion anyway, so why not go into Testing Grounds instead, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's an opportune time to do it. Does anyone have any final thoughts? Because we did go through a
Vamos ver
lot.
se eles têm considerações finais.
Anyone has any final?
Yeah, so everything that I just mentioned is going to be in the blog post when it's out. So there's going to be a huge detail of these same graphs with some developers' comments that summarize everything that I just talked about.
We have the same for Shinobi and
Mano, a
for
impressão
the
minha,
other
esse
teams as well.
maluco
You
tá
can look
sem
for blog posts.
cabelo aqui no
Interesting.
meio da cabeça.
Like I said before, feedback is
Parece que ele
super
catou a
important.
gilete
We
e
look through it.
raspou aqui
Like I
assim.
know I people don't believe it there, but I spend probably too much time on Reddit looking at like all the feedback I
Que
get there.
impressão minha é isso?
A bit on Twitter, a bit on the official
estranho.
forums as well, but like anything you
Esse
say.
aqui, ó, do...
Yeah, and don't forget the survey as well. Like we look
Esse
at everything.
aqui, ó, o Benjamin.
But yeah, don't think that we don't listen. We're not looking at stuff or whatever. We're like on the prowl, hardcore for when the testing grounds are happening. I tend to stay up late and read Reddit too much, so that's not good for my health, but it's good for the game.
Yeah. like 60% of my job, it requires me to talk to players and gather feedback. So please give me something to do. I would very much appreciate it. But Stefan, JC, Benjamin, thank you much for joining the show today.
Beleza, é isso,
For
galera.
the
Eu vou
quick
dar o resumão, tá?
TLDR for
Espera
those
terminar aí a
who
transmissão
may not wanna
deles,
watch
aí
the whole
fica só
thing.
nós aqui, ó.
Raider, Orochi, option select changes.
Dou
These are
resumão.
coming with the launch of Tempest on September 9th. Then, Shinobi V2. All the changes to Dominion will be in the testing grounds second week, September 16th, all the way to the 30th. And as these fine gentlemen have mentioned, definitely go ahead and send us your feedback and give us all of that awesome, recommendations, anything you like, you don't like, what you want to see changed. The survey as well, definitely go ahead and check that out. And yeah, Warriors, we'll be right back to kind of recap everything. And maybe we'll have like a goodie or two in there. I don't know. We'll see. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Warriors, what an episode of the Warriors
E
Den
agora pra
this
encerrar
was.
só, né?
I said Warriors twice, but that's okay. Matt,
Vamos deixar eles encerrar aí depois que terminar a
felt
live
amazing.
deles,
It
eu
was really
vou
cool to see your
salientar
testing
ali,
ground segment that
ressaltar
you
alguns
hosted
pontos
with
importantes,
the fight
que eu sei
team.
que vocês
I
sempre
always just
fazem
love
essas
seeing them go into
perguntas,
like
mesmo
detail
a
about the
gente tendo
stuff that they care
falado, né?
about, like
Então,
the Dominion
dá uma segurada aí,
retool, for
já tá
example.
acabando aqui já.
So it was a great
Aí
show
eu vou
with a lot of
explicar
great
tudo com as
segments.
minhas palavras.
yeah, half the time when the fight team were like talking, I'm just sitting there just like listening because I'm not a dev, so like I don't exactly know like how the process goes, but for them to kind of just go into detail about stuff was super cool. We also got to hear from Nico, Elise, and Andrew to talk about Tempest, Storm Tides, about the inspiration for the season and what are some of the art and all this really cool stuff. So, and of course a round of unique executions for Tempest, which I'm pretty sure everyone is excited about. And yeah, so we are launching Tempest next month, and we're also going to be dropping a new roadmap. So Matt, let's go ahead and talk about the roadmap and see what we're going to be dropping.
Yes, September 9th. Tempest and the Storm Tides event as well. And the Battle Pass Points Fest will be happening right away, September 9th through September 13th. So get in there and start playing right away. We also have on September 16th through the 30th there, the testing grounds. And it's crucial that you play that and get us your feedback because it will affect the Dominion game mode going forward. Your input there. So please play it and let us know what you think. We also can't keep Shinobi out of it. He keeps coming back. So he will be there too with his changes. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. And is that a slapping emoji?
Slapping.
Novo emote aí, ó.
Paired emote.
Já está online no jogo, hein?
Whoa, what are you doing? All right.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
I didn't know which way to turn. Sorry.
It's okay. We have strong force powers here.
10K steal for this, by the way.
Não se tapa na cara.
10K steal for the slap off paired emote if you are looking to slap your boys around.
Galera, não vai ter nada de single pick, velho. Eu não sei o que vocês do chat estão falando de single pick.
For those of you who aren't looking to slap your boys around, Wolves from the Door, if you're a Marching Fire owner, is available from September 2nd through September 9th. The Slayer Challenge with the so be the faction with the most takedowns performed to take this little competition. Josh, which faction you got? Who's going to take this? Samurai. Samurai. Either way. We also have the
Olha lá, vai voltar, hein, o evento da Combra.
Throwback event from October 7th through October 14th.
Grande evento da Combra vai voltar. Quem pergunta da minha execução, que eu dou uma marretada com a Hitoqueira na bunda dos outros, vai voltar, hein. Não mente, vocês vão poder pegar essa execução aí. Uma das execuções mais lentas do jogo.
Dominion series for the stage 3 portion and get in there and back up all that stuff you're saying in Twitch chat about how good you are. We'd love to see you register. You won't.
You won't.
No, you have to. So register and you can still play that. Josh, what a long, strange trip it's been.
What a long, strange, wet, thundery trip this has been, but we're all very excited here for Tempest. We're super excited for everyone to kind of try out these Dominion changes over on the testing grounds when that goes live. But yeah, Tempest drops on September 9th, folks. Get your ponchos, get your umbrellas, get your parkas, your I don't know what other things do people use to not get rained on?
Houses,
get your house, get your car, get your I don't know. Thanks for joining the Warriors Den, everybody. This was a great show. If you're watching on Twitch, be sure to follow us on Twitch.
Ok, tá bom, já deu vocês aí. Tá, galera, então agora somos nós aqui, certo? Então eu vou resumir o que teve e como um bom resumo, eu preciso que eles terminem essa transmissão para eu voltar e pegar os pontos que eu quero salientar para vocês, tá? Porque depois de fazer isso por tanto tempo, eu já sei quais serão as perguntas recorrentes, certo? Já sei. Então já vou respondê-las aqui. E eu peço para vocês que, pô, me ajuda, tá? Tem 150 pessoas aqui, 150 pessoas, pega essas informações e espalhem, certo? Espalhem. E se possível fala, ó, tá com dúvida? Vê lá na live do lenhador, certo? Então vamos lá. Primeiro ponto. Pô, encerra o vídeo. Eles têm que encerrar para virar um vídeo para eu poder voltar. Mas enquanto isso, primeiro ponto. Quando começa a nova temporada? Resposta: dia 9. Famosa semana que vem. Certo? Quando começa? Dia 9. Também conhecida como semana que vem. Quinta-feira que vem. Toda quinta-feira é quando vem a atualização no For Honor. Então, eu vou dar uma olhadinha só no YouTube aqui, ó. Rapidão. Eu só vou dar uma caçada no YouTube aqui, tá? Pra ver se eu acho no YouTube, porque no YouTube eu consigo ir e voltar, entendeu? No YouTube é melhor. Aí eu pego aqui, eu já consigo, que eu tava acompanhando pela Twitch, né? Tá, eles estão ao vivo agora. Pronto. Só que, aí já dá pra eu voltar no YouTube aqui já. Então deixa eu colocar aqui na tela pra vocês. Deixa eu só ver se vai aparecer certinho. Então vamos para essa parte aqui que estava aqui no finzinho, que é o famoso roadmap. Roadmap é aqui, pronto. Tudo certo aí, vocês estão vendo o roadmap? Então, né? Tá em HD, perfeito. Então aqui está o roadmap, tá? Nós temos o dia 9, como eu já disse, que vai começar a temporada. E o que virá nessa nova temporada de For Honor? Virá já o rework de Raider e Orochi, certo? É isso, tá? Raider e Orochi já vem no dia 9. O que mudou? Cara, quem viu os vídeos aqui no canal dos reworks, eu fiz, já expliquei. Mas tudo bem, ninguém é obrigado a saber. Então, resumidamente, é que mudou coisa pra caramba. Mas o Orochi, puta, é coisa pra caramba, não vai dar pra eu resumir isso aí não. Mas, do Raider eu consigo resumir o que mudou do Testing Grounds. O que mudou do Testing Grounds do Raider, que era a minha principal reclamação, é que a Hyper Armor do segundo golpe dele tava demorando muito para ativar, tava com 200 ms. Ou seja, se eu desse um light attack no grifo e fosse dar a sequência e ele dar o em setembro, eu solto um heavy com Hyper Armor, desculpa, faço o trade e aí eu saio na vantagem. Isso com todos personagens que tem dash attack. Com o nerf da Hyper Armor do Raider, eu tava tomando o golpe do cara e tava me ferrando. Então agora eu acho que vai melhorar isso daí. Não tenho certeza, preciso testar. Certo? Preciso testar. Então, o principal ponto negativo do rework do Raider foi arrumado. O que é bom. O Raider vai ficar muito forte agora. Por quê? Porque vão nerfar os Option Select e aí eu já vou completar. Então, beleza. Rework de Raider entra. Bom. Rework do Orochi. Cara, tem muita coisa. Então, o rework do Orochi eu não tenho uma opinião formada 100%. Vi muitas pessoas reclamando, especialistas em Orochi falando que não gostaram muito. Eu achei que estava bugado porque o dash light dele estava sendo punido como um heavy. E não tinha nada no patch notes passado falando. Só que aí agora o cara falou na live. falou que não, Dash Light vai voltar a ser punido como Light. Uma coisa muito boa, o Deflect do Orochi, que estava sendo interrompido, não vai mais poder ser interrompido. Então você deu Deflect, tá garantido que você vai acertar aquele Deflect, independente do cara te bater com Hyper Armor, tá? E agora eu não sei o flip do BP como vai ficar nessa história. Eu acho que o BP vai continuar flipando sim, tá? Então é isso, dia 9, certo? E o Shinobi, Adriano, como ficou o rework do Shinobi? O rework do Shinobi, como eu falo todas as lives, como eu falei na live de teste, como eu venho falando, e como eu falei no começo dessa live, o rework do Orochi, do Shinobi, estava um lixo. O rework do Shinobi foi algo que me fez olhar para os desenvolvedores, depois de tanta confiança que eu tive, porque eu achei que os caras fizeram bons trabalhos. Porque eles fizeram 7 reworks bons. O Shugok tá meio cagadinho aí, mas dá pra, né? Dá pra melhorar. Mas eu fiquei muito feliz. Eu falei, pô, agora a equipe do For Honor acertou. Os caras estão bem. Eles entenderam que todo personagem tem que ter sequência, que todo personagem tem que ser forte, tem que ter opção ofensiva, opção defensiva. Legal. Aí os caras me fazem o rework do Shinobi. Bugado, quebrado, input cagado, infringindo regra do jogo. Cara, lixo. Eu fiquei muito decepcionado. Tanto que quando lançou o Kyoshin, eu falei pra vocês aqui na live. Eu falei, cara, eu tava confiando na galera. Agora eu não confio, não. O Kyoshin tá aí, ok. Personagem bom, legal, balanceado. E vamos ver, né? Então o Shinobi esquece. Vai ter, ó, dia 16, um novo Testing Grounds para testar Shinobi, para eles colherem informação para na season que vem vir Shinobi. E olhe lá, certo? Outra coisa que vai chegar dia 9 agora, semana que vem, o fim dos Option Select. Acabou o Option Select. Isso vai ser um buff indireto para quem? Todo mundo que tem imbloqueável. Yomungander, Zanru, puta, bufaço pro Zanru. Raider, nossa senhora, Raider agora da Curupita pra caramba, foi diminuído muito o custo. Quem viu meu vídeo aqui de duelos de Raider, sabe que eu faço uma finta de Curupita pra Guard Break e acabou minha estamina. Agora não. Agora você pode soltar Curupita até umas horas. Então, pô, muito, muito bem-vindo. Vai sofrer quem usa Option Select? Vai sofrer. É complicado? É, mas, cara, é bom, é positivo. E vamos embora. Todos que tem ataque, Warden, Guardião. Guardião, pô, depois de... Guardião você dá uma ombradinha ali e tal, né? Você dá o duplo light, você dá uma ombrada. Qualquer coisa que você faz com o Guardião, você pode soltar o Heavy com imbloqueável. E agora, nego vai ter que escolher, meu parceiro. Ou dá parry ou esquiva. Se vir com um lightzinho para interromper, vai tomar um imbloqueável na cara. Se vir com um zone para dar parry com input de heavy, vai tomar imbloqueável na cara. Então, assim, sempre que tiver um imbloqueável vindo na sua frente, se você não esquivar, e aí correndo o risco de tomar o guard break se o cara cancelar. Se você não esquivar ou você não tentar dar parry, todas as outras opções que você fizer, você vai tomar um imbloqueável na cara. Certo? Via de regra é isso. Vamos ver na prática, né? É isso. É isso. Beleza? Alguma dúvida que ficou no chat aí? Agora eu vou ler aí, tá? Vou ler os recados, tal. O que é Option Select? Malcolm, acabei de explicar. Mas se você quiser saber detalhadamente, tem um vídeo aqui no canal que eu fiz, 10 minutinhos só, eu explico o Option Select de zone. Mas basicamente o Option Select é quando você cobre 2 ou mais opções ofensivas com um movimento só. Que mais, galera? Até se o Zone for Bash, sim. Se o Zone for Bash, o jogo considera que você tomou o golpe. Tomou imbloqueável. Zone não é parry mais. Entendeu? Então, se você for ver todos os... eu acho que não... aí vai ter que ver. Mas provavelmente todos os zones não vai funcionar mais. Tá? Option Select não era roubado nem nada. O foda era a galera que não conhecia. Gustavo, é uma quebra de regra. Entendeu? Você tá usando um movimento que não é feito para aquilo, para resolver aquilo. Então, tá, vamos sofrer quem tá acostumado, tal, mas é isso aí. Ai, que delícia aqueles Tiandi agora se fodendo, mano. Vai ser muito bom, cara. Qual a grande novidade dessa nova season? Giliard, é basicamente tudo que eu tô falando. Adriano, esse teste do dia 16. Será apenas o Shinobi? Sim. Apenas do Shinobi e do modo domínio, essas mudanças que eles falaram aí, tá? Adriano, o que eu não entendi é como vai ser quando alguém der um dodge heavy no imbloqueável. Não. Dodge heavy é uma esquiva. Normal. É uma esquiva. Isso aí não é um option select. Você tá esquivando do golpe com o dodge heavy. Padrão. Tá? Adriano, só o deflect do Orochi vai interromper o Hyper Armor? Sim. O rework do Orochi. Tá? Isso é do Orochi. Vai sair aquele tema do mapa que é muito feio? Vai mudar todo. O novo tema do jogo agora é esse tema de chuva, de tempestade, ligado a raio, água, né? Vai ficar, espero. O pessoal da arte do For Honor são competentíssimos, o jogo é lindo. Vamos ver, semana que vem isso daí entra já, tá? Quais foram as mudanças do invasor? Cara, são muitas. Se você procurar aqui no canal, você vê vídeo que eu fiz lá explicando, tá? Aí quando sair direitinho, eu vou fazer outro vídeo explicando. Mas que eu citar todas agora, vai ficar muito tempo aqui, né? Vai ter mapa novo? Não. Não vai ter mapa novo, graças a Deus. Eles têm que arrumar os mapas que tem, né? Orochi vai ter o chute? Normal, vai ter o chute. Não vai ter herói novo? Gustavo? Não, só no fim do ano. Execuções individuais, é verdade, cara. Execuções individuais. Que mais? Personagens comuns imbloqueáveis vão ficar muito fortes. Não vai ficar forte, com certeza. Vai ficar forte. Zanru já é meta. Cara, e Jang Jun? E Jang Jun, velho, que tira imbloqueável da bunda a todo e qualquer instante. O Jang Jun vai virar um deus, velho. Vão ter que nerfar o Jang Jun, velho. Nossa, imagina. Jang Jun, você olha pra ele dá imbloqueável no cara que tá atrás de você, você já tá se fodendo. Quais os dias de XP duplo? Não sei, mano. Tem que estar escrito aqui em algum lugar. Eu não sei, não. Não vi nada de XP duplo. Explica o que mexeram no domínio. Não mexeram nada. Algumas mudanças sobre o ganho de renome. Não tem nada. Mano, algum louco no chat começou a falar de single pick. A galera do chat despirocou. Eu fiquei aqui, carai, será que eu perdi alguma coisa? E fiquei olhando na tela, não vi nada de single pick. Eu não sei, mano. Isso daí é. Como que se diz? Histeria coletiva do chat. Que mais? Orochi vai ter golpe novo? Vai. Lenhador odeio o velhinho chinês. Odeio mesmo. Odeio ficar tomando golpe que não é destinado a mim. Adriano, vai ter... Mano, não vai ter single pick. Para com isso. Eu te via na Twitch. Ô, Scooby-Doo. Ontem eu tava fazendo... Galera, eu não faço mais live no YouTube. Mas isso aqui é uma live, né? Mas isso aqui é informativo. Live de gameplay é tudo na Twitch. YouTube, vídeo informativo. E alguns vídeos de gameplay que eu coloco pra galera mais iniciante e tal. A live, pra trocar ideia, jogar o jogo todo santo dia, é Twitch, ok? Que mais? Dia 9 chega os temas? Sim, Davi. Chega tudo. A nova temporada e as armas, tudo é dia 9, tá? É isso. Que mais? A partir do dia 9. Sim, a partir do dia 9. Beleza. Ah, o nerf do Crushing Charge, verdade. O Warlord vai tomar um nerfzinho. Porra, mais do que isso. demorou esse nerf do Crushing Charge. Pra quem não sabe, o Crushing Charge é aquela corrida com o Warlord que te joga no escudo. O cara não precisa nem lutar com você. Ele só desloca, fica correndo e te joga. Vai tomar um nerf aquela merda lá. Felizmente, né? Felizmente. Fala do talento do Tiandi. Cara, não... Teve um buffzinho aí, né? Quero só saber como vai ficar a pontuação. Por enquanto é Testing Grounds. Testing Grounds, galera, eu não gosto de ficar falando muito, porque a gente não sabe nem se vai vir pro jogo. Então, quando abrir o Testing Grounds, eu falo dele. Do contrário, né? E é isso. Vai ter uma nova campanha? Não, mano. Uma nova campanha? Ninguém liga pra campanha de For Honor, né? Mas não vai ter não. O que eu achei do passe, por enquanto mostrou as armas. Eu acho caído, eu acho esse passe meio sem propósito. É que eu não ligo muito pra skin, eu não sou muito ligado nesses negócios, né? Mas é uma opinião particular minha. Nada de crossplay, não, cara. O Valorant... Mano, puta, que nome do caralho. Vou te chamar de Val. Cara, não tem crossplay, não vai ter crossplay, o For Honor não vai fazer. Nem se ilude, meu querido. Tiandi vai buffar? Não, foi arrumado uns talentos meio inúteis que ele tinha aí, tá? O que eu já estava falando que estragaram o domínio. Franklin, é porque propuseram umas mudanças de ganho de renome que eu achei meio merda. Mas é proposta que vai para Testing Grounds para depois... Quando lançar, eu falo detalhado. Por enquanto, só fica aí só pra vocês saberem que vem, entendeu? É isso, tá? Galera, é o seguinte. Eu vou... Pra quem não sabe, eu faço lives lá na Twitch, certo? No meu canal da Twitch. twitch.tv/lenhadorgameplay, certo? Então, vocês que querem trocar essa ideia diária, eu faço live quase todo dia. Quase todo dia. Tô lá na Twitch. Então, eu gostaria de convidar vocês para ir para lá agora. Eu vou encerrar essa transmissão aqui no YouTube, certo? E vou lá no meu canal da Twitch, para quem não sabe, twitch.tv/lenhadorgameplay. Muito difícil achar partida esse horário, né? Mas eu atendi meus clientes, corri no trabalho hoje para chegar mais cedo, para poder fazer live para vocês. Então, quem quiser me acompanhar lá, eu tô indo agora para lá. Agora, vou fechar essa live aqui e tô indo fazer a live na Twitch. Aí a gente vai trocar ideia sobre tudo que vocês quiserem perguntar aí, tá? Para quem não conhece minhas lives lá, a gente fala todo tipo de coisa lá, não só sobre For Honor, né? Mas eu vou abrir agora a live lá, tudo bem? Tô encerrando aqui, abrindo lá. Peço, por favor, que todos, se vocês puderem, me acompanhem. twitch.tv/lenhadorgameplay, certo? Então, tô encerrando aqui, tá? Tô encerrando aqui e vou pra lá. Se vocês gostaram do vídeo, tal, deixem o like, me ajuda aí, beleza? Então, um abraço pra vocês, muito obrigado.